Greetings, my name is Hamid Omar and I'm your lecturer for medical ethics and legal issues. You haven't seen me around because I've been sickly of late, so apologies on that. So on the coming days, I'll be sharing with you links to various videos. I think today I'll send you some quantity of videos for the lessons or for the classes that are to ongoing. So basically, medical ethics and legal issues basically it's a unit that bases on values and what is right and wrong, but basically basing on the medical territory. A good example you can say maybe because it's a relationship of a patient and a doctor. So the first one you can say it's the duty of confidentiality. That's the first one. The second one it's the duty of fairness and justice, so that you should not discriminate any person. Another one, maybe you should keep the records properly, you should manage them properly such that the record you store them at a proper place. I don't know from the medical perspective, but from what I know is that records that are to be kept are usually to be kept within a period of 7 years, so that after there now you can decide if you want to burn them or destroy them. So basically that's what the unit is all about. So I'll start with the unit itself, whereby we'll start with the introduction to professional ethics, whereby we'll define the basic terms and also we'll explain the client patient relationship and also explain the International Code of Medical Ethics. So, ethics, as I've told you, means basically something that is right or wrong, like morally that is right or wrong. And what is right or wrong depends with the territory or the category one is. So, what is right or wrong in the US may not be right and wrong in Kenya. So basically, that's what you have to differentiate between ethics. So basically, ethics are moral principles of what good or bad is, or what is wrong or what is right. So basically, on another aspect, you can say it's a science or a study of moral values or principle, including ideals of autonomy, beneficency, and justice. And then for medical ethics, it usually has the moral code of conduct. One of them, which I told you, is the duty of confidentiality. There is the aspect of not behaving in unprofessional behavior, for example, not going to work while drunk. There's also legal issues. For example, you should only submit documents when necessary, maybe if you're asked by a court or you are asked by a certain legal body that has the that has the mandate to ask you about that. Then you also have personal issues like before you undertake any surgery to somebody or you undertake any medical attention to somebody, you must first inform them of what you are doing, what's the effects, the side effects, the positive, and also at the end of the day, they also have to give you the approval. So basically that's what it is. And then you'll also have the conversation between euthanasia and prolonged suffering. A good example you can say are people who are suffering from cancer. So maybe they're in stage 4, and stage 4 is usually very difficult. And so now you'll find themselves having a situation whereby they are feeling too much pain, but also on the other end, they're begging for you to kill them, but on the other end, there's also the right to life. Because at the end of the day, how do I put it? In law, every life is important because there's the aspect of taxation. Yeah, that's the joke that you usually have. Every life is important because there's that aspect of taxation. That's where the government gets its tax and how it runs its government. So whenever you die yourself, it's like you're wronging the government. That's the legal joke that people usually have or say. So euthanasia now is whereby somebody is given an injection so that they can relieve that pain or suffering. So the second definition is to mean is a profession, whereby a profession is just an occupation or a practice that has whereby somebody has undergone complex set of knowledge and skills through formal education or another time through practical experience. And this profession, you can say a good example of maybe the medical territory, we have the doctors, the nurses. So they usually have key issues, for example, there is issue of the public health, the global health, the environment, and also resource allocation. Then a professional is somebody now who is under a certain profession. For example, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. That one is a member of a profession. Then professionalism refers to the beliefs or the code of conduct of the professionals. So this one now we have the laws, the ethics, and the convention that govern the way a profession handles their work. Professionalization now is like the pattern or like how it's the process of becoming a profession, like where do you have you categorized yourself into. That's what we call professionalization. And then the benefits of professions, we have the professions to the communities that the first one is they'll offer services. That's the first one. And also they'll offer services, and also it will be beneficial to the society, maybe in the solving of complex issues. For example, a good example you can say is from the example of Malindi. There was a time in Malindi whereby I think it's a recurring issue when people are pregnant. They usually have a lot of outflow of blood coming from their birth canal. So I think it was in 2023, the medics at Malindi General Hospital came up with a device on how it can it can stop that outflow, like too much outflow of blood from the birth canal. So you can say the professions help the community in a certain way. I don't know the name. I just remember I had it in the news. I don't know the name of that device, but it was invented. So now if somebody gets pregnant, the outflow of blood won't be that too much. Then uh, to the economy is that first, to the economy, if you are a professional, for example, I'm a dick, one aspect is that you deal with is the health territory. So if you cure people, that means that the country is healthy. And if it's the country is healthy, that means people can go on with their life in building the nation. Either maybe it's construction, manufacturing, extraction of minerals, teaching, educating, providing services. For example, maybe you're an engineer, you are a lawyer, or something like that. So basically, that's how it benefits the economy. And then the regulators, this one is whereby the regulators now have to come up with laws and regulations on how to control or how to maneuver the territory of the medical aspect. But this one is usually a continuing discussion. Should the society be left free to govern themselves, or should it be that the government should make rules every now and then? It's similar to the topic between at the US, whereby you say the Republican and the Democrats. The Republican have the aspect of not making too many laws, whereas the Democrats usually like making laws for everything. So basically, that's it. And then from the professional perspective is that they improve employment and also the career longevity, and also they provide community purpose and empowerment, and also it enhances reputation and skills by adhering to professional standards and requirements of their professional bodies. So the next one will deal with the special aspects of medical ethics. The first one is compassion. Compassion basically means understanding the concern of the person in distress. Competency means you have the qualified skills and knowledge to perform what you're doing. Autonomy or self determination is like the profession itself being free to set the standards of medical education and also medical practice, and also it's being independent on your own, not to be in control under somebody, and then the Declaration of Geneva. So the history of medical ethics can be traced through on the duty of physicians, such as the Hippocratic Oath. So the duty first of a medical profession, is to recognize the responsibility to the patient first, then as well as to the society, and also to other health professionals, and also to self. So you have to give responsibility to the patient, the one who you are curing, or the one who you are ailing or facilitating the ailing, or prevention or medical purposes, the society upon which you belong to, the health professionals, like collaborating with other health professionals, and also to the self, like yourself. So the basic principle of medical ethics is, the first one is autonomy. Basically, this one means a patient has a freedom of thought. Like a patient first, before you undertake any procedure that is medically related, you must first have a talk with them. You say, so and so, X and X, we have seen, you have done, we are going to do test for you, this and this and this. Then maybe if the tests have been done, so now you tell them, like, the test you have done and you have seen that you have malaria, so we'll like you to do this and this and this, and doing this and this and this will have this side and effects and effects and this and this and this. Not doing this will have this side effects, this and this and that. So you have to tell them, and also now they have to give that, is it a positive reply or a negative reply. And then in another scenario, for example, in a case of a child, the principle of avoiding the harm of death and the principle of providing a medical benefit that can restore the child to health and life will be given precedence over the right of the child parents as surrogate decision makers. So this one basically means that when there's a procedure that the life of a child can be protected, then that means the interest of the child. This one will connect it with Article 43 of the Constitution, if I'm not wrong. The best interest of the child. You have to look at the best interest of the child. If the best interest of the child is to save their life, then regardless of what the parents say, it's null and void. Then the next one is beneficency. This one, basically, the medical professional should act in the best interest of the patient. Like, the procedure that they do should be perfect, and also they should consider the circumstances of all patients. I don't know much about medicine, but I know there are various procedures upon which somebody can be healed depending on the circumstances. So, for example, I'll use an example from a personal experience. I had sinuses a while back in 2010. So, from that example, how the treatment was, the first one was to use an antihistamine, a body fluid you just spray to the nose, and the other alternative is going through a surgery. So you see, you have to take the best you have to look at the best interest of the patient. Like, can the spray heal them? If not, then you'd go to the surgery. But is there benefit of doubt the use of the spray? Yeah, basically that's it. It was resolved, the sinuses, later on. Then the third one is non-maleficency. This one basically means make sure the procedures that you do not harm the patient or others in the society. This one is whereby the interventions undertaken by a physician create both a positive outcome while also potentially doing harm. This one is what we known as double effect. A good example is using morphine on a dying patient. On another aspect, it eases the pain and suffering, while on the other end, it fastens the dying process, the dying process of the of the patient. So basically, what this principle means is that whatever medication you prescribe, should not be harmful to the patient. This one now, I think this one is where the conversation of euthanasia comes in. Then justice is whereby the distribution where there is scarce health services, the decision of who gets that treatment will have to be determined by the principles of fairness and equality. So the main four aspects when they should consider in evaluating justice is fair distribution of scarce resources, competing needs, rights and obligation, and potential conflicts with established legislation. Then the other one, you'll go to the medic as they are. The medics is a person who is trained and licensed to perform medical services, and the general rules of conduct to be conducted by them include they have to maintain integrity, there has to be loyalty to the government, they have to uphold the dignity of the public offices to which they are appointed. So this one is when maybe, for example, you are hired to the public or by the government. You have to maintain integrity, dignity, and then you have to be very careful in whatever you are doing so that it should not be interpreted as a professional misconduct or a disgrace to professional colleagues. For example, maybe coming to work while drunk every time. And then the rules of function of a medical officer or a medics, one of them is to manage health services, provide leadership in healthcare delivery, conduct research in priority health problems, participate in and acting as agent of change, engaging in continuing medical education. They have to evaluate their own performance plan and implement their own education, and also participate as a member of a health team in the health delivery services. So on the issue of professional behaviors, the first one is we have the professional responsibility for patient care. Like you should manage your patients properly. For example, you have to be present at the workplace for them to attend to them. You have to review the client's cases. You should care for them properly, not carelessly. You should you should be advising them on the use of certain treatments. If they are bad, you tell them this drug is bad, so the effect you are using these drugs, but the effect is that. They should not prolong their duties for too long. They should not carry out any procedure if they do not have the efficient training. And if they see themselves they are incapable to handle a patient, then the best alternative is to refer to somebody who is well knowledgeable in that territory. And then the next one is abuse of professional privileges and skills. This one is what we call the professional misconduct. For example, here we have termination of pregnancy. You know, with the law we have the pro-life. We are for not aborting unless necessary, the right to life. The next one is denial of emergency treatment. The other one is where you falsify certificates and reports, for example, medical certificates, insurance, and other related documents. The other one is informed consent. Before you do anything to a patient, you have to get consent from them. You should not breach confidentiality. And the relationship between the client and the patient should be that which one is of respect. In respect to me, no such aspect of harassment, maybe either sexual or harassment through words or something like that. Financial, from the financial aspect, is to handle money of patient properly. Prescribing drugs not with a financial interest. For example, you're taking them to your pharmacy and then taking advantage of patients so as to get financial benefit. For example, maybe you're treating them so that you can get yourself as a mention in the will to a certain property. And then the conduct and becoming that has arisen of late. We have the abuse of alcohol and other substances, appearing in public while drunk or intoxicated, indecent dressing, conviction maybe for false pretense, forgery, fraud, indecent behavior, assault, or committing other crimes that are punishable in Kenya. The other one is on advertising, canvassing, and related misconduct. You should not advertise yourself or in a manner that degrades the professional colleagues. This one also includes not to tarnish the names of your fellow colleagues and also a patient. And then the relationships with colleagues is that you should collaborate, like share knowledge and information with your fellow colleagues, and then avoid any aspect that may mean like you are self-putting, like you're down-putting your other colleagues. Maybe you're using harsh words, you're calling them Kora or something like that. Not to charge fees to other immediate dependents, for example, husband, parents. To respect a consultant opinion when a doctor asks for it, when a patient has come and there is that information. And then in the relationship of a medical officer and the public is that the first one is that they should preserve and improve the quality of human life, and they should not undertake measures that are intended to terminate or ensure suffering of life. The other one is to provide necessary advice and treatment to reduce the suffering to a patient. You have to treat any patient that comes to your office or your place of work with due respect and humility. And also you have to respect the issues of confidentiality. You have to hold secrets. The only moment when you can breach that duty of confidentiality is when the patient or his legal advisor, maybe a lawyer, has given valid consent. The other one is when the information is required by law. This one we mean maybe it's needed in a court or a certain institution, maybe for example EACC or KRA and something like that. When it's a matter of public interest and that information is required, when it's in the interest of research. But when it's in the interest of research, you should not mention the name of the patient, you just mention the details. And then the relationship with the community, like you should not be discriminatory, like don't be choosy depending on one's race, nationality, tribe, or where they come from, maybe their social background or economical background. And the other one is to abide by all the laws of Kenya. The relationship with the council, this one is that for every medical profession, I believe there's usually a body or a council that usually governs how you guys relate with each other. So there has to be that aspect of respect to the council. If you have to renew your license, renew it. If you are not supposed to advertise, there's usually a code of conduct in that council, so you have to follow them to the letter. So yeah, basically that's for lesson 1. So in the coming few, I'll share for lesson 2. Thank you.